Good afternoon, everybody. This is your host, Zach Stewart, also known as Right Wing Dad. We don't have Mark today. He's taking care of some family issues, but we kind of still wanted to record an episode for you guys. Maybe we will get to record another episode tomorrow if possible. But in the meantime, you're stuck with Frost and I.
Yep.
So we're going to just jump right on into it. Um, this week has definitely been a crazy week. There's been a lot going on, and if you've been online, you know this. There's been a lot of memes, there's been a lot of news going on. We're going to try and get to as many topics as we can today. There's some topics I'm avoiding today just because I kind of want Mark's opinion to shed some light on some of these issues, just because he was on News Nation um, earlier this week talking about a few things. And so when he comes back, we will definitely talk about some of those issues. But I kind of wanted to start off talking about um, what happened with the Gulf of America. It's now on Google Maps and Apple Maps. And I just find it kind of funny that, you have all of mainstream media um, being hypocrites. They talk about using people's pronouns and calling people by their preferred name, and they are now dead naming the Gulf of America by calling it the Gulf of Mexico.
Dead naming.
And
Oh
I
man.
just I think they're just bigots, They are refusing to acknowledge the Gulf of America. And so what do you think about this, Frost?
So I actually think I tweeted about this quite a few times over the last week, and at first glance I thought that it's kind of silly. Like, why does it really matter? Okay, why does it matter? And then I think Mark mentioned, do some research on how America got its name, and then I found out it's like Virgo Americana or whatever it was, some Spaniard Portuguese guy. So like there's people saying that, oh, it's racist to call it America. You're literally switching out a Hispanic name for a Spaniard name. It's without offending everyone. I mean, offending everyone. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. But I think the biggest point to make here, and I did tweet about, I thought it was silly or whatever. And after I did a little bit of digging, the reason why the Gulf of Mexico had to be renamed to Gulf of America is because Joe Biden cut off all future drilling to the Gulf of Mexico. America is not allowed to cut off or allowed to drill in the or create new drills or whatever it is. So if you rename it, Gulf of Mexico never doesn't exist anymore, and therefore you can drill in the Gulf of America. So I think on top of all the silliness, I think that there was actually a really point there.
Well, so I guess my only question is that the reason that the Trump administration did it? I think there's a lot of technicalities that come down to that. And I mean, America can certainly try and go and get into that legal battle and see if that, executive order, that contract or whatever is now null and void because of the renaming of it. But given Trump's past, I don't know if that's the case
That
or
is
if
the
it,
case. I'm telling you, that's the reason why he renamed it.
well, I guess only time will tell on that front. Um, it would definitely be a smart move if that, comes to light, especially on mainstream news, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, well, he's not just renaming it for, the sake of renaming it. He's doing it so we can do A, B, and C." Um, but I actually find it kind of funny that Apple Maps and Google Maps already updated it. I didn't think that it would happen this fast.
Did you see that Mexico is suing Google?
I mean, they can try. It's a U.S. based company.
Yeah.
Um,
They could just withdraw from Mexico for a couple of weeks and just see what Mexico. I think Mexico's just going to get shafted on that one. It's kind of dumb.
You know, speaking of Mexico, um, the border situation is kind of in the same. You know, we're kind of at a standstill right now. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, we're deporting people, but the numbers just aren't where I would like to see them. Especially, um,
Are you
we
talking
have
about deportees or border crossings as a whole?
the border crossings are down, but it's the deportations
Yeah.
that are the issue for me because we have all of these states, kind of like Florida, who is trying to help the Trump administration and local law enforcement getting involved and helping ICE deport these illegals.
Yeah.
And then you have other states who are going completely against that and are doubling down on being sanctuary cities. And it's really going to take more governors like Ron DeSantis to call special legislation
Yep.
sessions and to get things passed. I think the state that it would help the most would be Texas, but Texas is worse than Florida when it comes to having rhinos in their house. I mean, hell, they are a Republican state, but their, Speaker of the House is a Democrat. And so until we can get local law enforcement in on that, I don't see, anything changing on that front.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still going to be deportations, but I kind of want to see a high level of deportation so that after these 4 years are up, he can surpass Obama
Yeah.
as the president who deported the most, you know,
I am
illegally.
happy. I'm happy that the numbers are continually, at least from what I've seen, they keep going up. But I would like to see. We don't need. I agree with you. Basically, is what I'm trying to say is. But I think we don't need hundreds per week. We need thousands per week, and
No,
that's yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I
And
agree.
this kind of ties into the next topic I kind of wanted to talk about. Um, Pope Francis was hospitalized with bronchitis. And, this comes just days after he kind of denounced, the Trump administration for their immigration stance. And I just find it so funny because, in a way, I feel like it's God just saying, bro, you need to shut up.
Yeah.
I obviously, I'm not Catholic. I'm very much, Protestant. And so I find this pope, there's certain things that the Catholic Church is good on, like they have a very pro-life stance, but when it comes to certain things, they are not strong in, and I just find it very hypocritical of the pope to call out America for its immigration stance when there's literally a wall around the Vatican and you can't just
Yeah.
come in. And so until they tear down that wall and they just let people roam in, I don't want to hear from the Pope.
Yeah. I
I personally think he's a
after
heretic, but that's just
after all
me.
the COVID thing and him saying that it's your Christian Christian beliefs are that you should take this vaccine. After that, I was like, nah, this guy's an idiot. He's not. No, he doesn't. He has no clue. He just needs to. I don't know the Catholic religion, and I hate to insult anybody that is Catholic, but like the guy that's at the helm of that religion at the moment is just absolutely that is an actual awful human being. He is an awful human being.
So speaking of the vaccine, this came out the other day. So Robert Malone, who we all know, is a very prominent doctor who came out against COVID. And he's like the foremost father of mRNA vaccines, he came out the other day and he said that he was told by a reliable source that there are serious discussions going on at the top level of the Trump administration about pushing mRNA vaccines for the bird flu.
Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that one.
I kind of do as well. Obviously, we're covering it because Robert Malone is just one of those people that I don't think he's just pushing BS. He's not like Peter Hotez or some of the other crazy doctors out there. But it would be a terrible thing for the Trump administration to do just because there's already so many people who are critical of Trump's COVID
Yeah.
stance. I am. I mean, I don't think that he handled it well. Obviously, there were some in the beginning, there were some politicians that they didn't handle it well either, but they corrected course as more information came out. Obviously, DeSantis is one of those.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think it would be smart. And we don't really know enough about the bird flu right now. I mean, obviously we know about the bird flu, but it's not killing people like COVID was. Um, it's just
Also, the regular vaccine for flu types is functional.
yeah.
We don't need anything better. It works as long as you don't put extra crap in it. I don't take the flu vaccine anymore because every time I do, I'm sick about a week after I take it. I get sick for 2 weeks, and then somehow I always get the flu again the same year. I have not had a flu shot since I was in the military, and they made me take all that. What was it? What was it back then? H1 was it H1N1?
H1N1. Yeah.
H1N1. Yeah. So they made me take all that whatever stuff. I had to take shots and a double whatever. Um, I haven't. I have not had the flu since then. I've.
Yeah, well, see, I've never had the flu and I've never had a flu vaccine. They're always like, "Oh, you should get your flu vaccine." And I'm like,
No.
"No, because I've never had the flu. Why would I get a vaccine for something if I've never had it?" And every single person I ever talk to that has the flu, they've had the flu vaccine.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I
"What
will
is the
say
point?"
I have had the flu on years that I have not had the shot, and it's much worse, much worse.
Well,
But
yeah.
but if you take a flu shot, at least for me, I always get sick. So I know I'm gonna be sick a week or 2 weeks after for about 2 weeks after I take the shot, and then I'm probably gonna get it again at some point during the season. And I just don't. That's a month. That's a month out of the year that I'm sick. I don't want to do that to myself. I'd rather wait for me to get it naturally, have a rough week or two, and then know that I'm not going to get it again.
Yeah, see, I have a pretty strong immune system in the sense that I
Yeah.
never get flus or sick really. If I do get sick, it's a common cold or a sinus infection, and that's maybe once a year, every 2 years or so.
Yep.
Um, but because of that, I feel like my man cold is just elevated in that aspect. So like my wife is gonna hear about it because I never really experience being sick. So when I finally am sick, it's like, oh man, this is something else. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess going into the bird flu, were you
Oh
able to buy
yeah.
were you able to buy eggs at the grocery store?
So I actually the eggs here in Florida are still pretty cheap. I think I paid like $3 or something, $3 a change a dozen. So
Wow.
yeah, so I will say that there was a 2 week period where there was not any eggs at all. There not a single one. And I think there was like a salmonella outbreak or something like that with the eggs that we get local here, and so they removed everything from the shelves. But there is, however, so I just told you that there is like it's like $3 or $3.50 a dozen, but there is a limit. You can only get two. So Um, and honestly, we're a household of two. We probably a dozen eggs will last us a while. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal. And my wife really doesn't like eggs. I like eggs, but she's not really a big egg eater, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we go through periods of time. Like there's certain times where I just want to have breakfast on the weekend and I'll cook like just
Yeah.
a bunch of eggs just for me cuz if I make breakfast at home, that's really all I'm having. I'll have like 4 or 5 eggs and then pour some hot sauce on it.
Scrambled or fried?
I like my eggs scrambled. Um but Elon, on the other hand, likes his eggs fertilized. And that brings us to our next story as to last night. Ashley St. Clair is a right wing influencer. She came out last night with a post. I'm basically going to summarize saying that, over the past few months, people were trying to like dox her kid. I don't know how true those claims are, but um,
Yep,
she,
yeah, but her kid is like 5 months old. Who
yeah,
cares? Who
well,
cares?
and so here I'll just go ahead and pull it up.
Well, while you're pulling it up, I do want to make one more point about the egg and inflation and all that, the chicken bird flu, whatever. So a lot of people are freaking out in the media, like, Trump was supposed to lower food prices and all that stuff. Yeah, but we didn't know that there was going to be a mass culling of chickens. I think I was watching a news or reading an article on something like 80% of the chickens
Yeah,
had to be culled. 80%. So all right, so just for our viewers to understand, I am no farmer. However, I've dealt with chickens before. Okay, it from the time that you get a fertilized egg from that moment to birth and to that chicken actually laying eggs of their own is probably like 18 months.
yeah. Biden
So
administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens,
100 million chickens.
and that's per CNN.
So that was the Biden administration. So that has
Yeah,
nothing to do with Trump. And Mark will probably say the same thing, even though he's not a huge Trump guy. But he'll say the same thing. That was a Biden administration, and that's the reason why your eggs are going up. Not because Trump did something or didn't do something. You
yeah,
just can't, you can't.
and
Anyway,
again, you know, you have that going on, but at the same time, that's going to cause a shortage in eggs,
right?
and so until there's more chickens being
Yep,
born or hatched, you're not gonna
yep.
have low eggs.
And
Things take time.
think about it this way. So let's just say that number that I got was correct, and it was 80%. So you have 20% remaining. It's going to take you 18 months from now to get to 40%, and then another 18 months to get to 80% of the current capacity. So it's going to take a while for us to get back to that 100%. And it might even be eggs might not come down until the end of Trump's term. So I'm sorry to say this, but you might just have to deal with it. Also, a good point here is that it's just eggs. Nothing else is going up. It's just eggs.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I just find it really funny that leading into the election, uh, everyone was complaining about egg prices, and so now that Trump is president, all the liberals are like, "What about the egg prices?" And I'm just sitting
Yep.
here and I'm like, "Really? That's all you guys have? Like
Yep.
your guy's the one that caused this issue. Trump
Yep.
can't exactly, make that specific issue disappear overnight." Um,
Yeah. So what's
but
this? What's this juicy news about Elon and his mistress Ashley St. Clair?
yeah, so she put out a post last night that says 5 months ago, I welcomed a new baby into the world. Elon Musk is the father. I have not previously disclosed this to protect our child's privacy and safety, but in recent days it has become clear that tabloid media intends to do so, regardless of the harm it will cause. I intend to allow our child to grow in a normal and safe environment. For that reason, I ask that the media honor our child's privacy and refrain from invasive reporting. And then right below that, she puts her media person's name and I guess company.
Yeah,
So
so I actually have a good point here to get this one started. So I'm not fully up to date on exactly where Elon likes to stick his thingy thing, okay? But from what I've heard and what I've read about is that he's actually donated to some of his CEOs. He has donated so that they could have kids, um, and I think he's got like four baby mamas too. So
he does
there's
13 kids with four different baby mamas.
yeah. So that's also yeah, well. I mean, if you're the richest man in the world, you can afford
You're not really worried about child
yeah
support.
yeah
Um,
$1 billion will raise a child in luxury, and the kid will never have to do anything.
yeah, it's between him and Nick Cannon as to who can have the most kids. Um, but I find it just very hypocritical of people on the right because they talk about family. They talk about, you know, right wing and Christian values. And then things like this happen. Now, there two things can be true at once. I'm a firm believer in that. Two things can be true at once. One being that we can be very happy that she kept the baby and she brought that baby into the world being pro life. That's one thing we can congratulate her on. However, it's another thing when she makes posts about wanting to be married and have a family. And now we're essentially congratulating her and embracing single motherhood.
So did Elon?
Financially, I think that baby will be fine for because I mean she's a right wing grifter, so obviously she already makes decent amount of money from clicks, but child support wise, and since she's in the public eye, she's gonna get child support from Elon,
So
no doubt.
so did Elon do the deed or did he donate to her? That's the question.
I'm pretty positive they did the deed. I mean
Okay.
they had been flirting online for the past like year and a half, and so
Who was that? Who was that? The German? Who's the German prime minister or whatever that he was flirt? Melanie?
oh no, you're talking about Georgia Fioni.
No, I don't think so.
Filoni, the Italian president.
Blonde hair?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah,
Yeah. So I did notice that there was a little chemistry there too when
yeah.
he
But
went over there to visit.
my thing is, we need to quit hyping people up on the right that don't share our values, and we need to get back to conservatism and federalism. And obviously, I'm not going to go into a whole spiel about the new Federalists alliance. That is going to be Mark's job um, when he comes back. But if you're, politically homeless out there and you feel like in the new Republican Party that there's just not really conservatism and you feel that it's just right wing populism and you want to get back to federalism and the importance of the states and their role in our government, then head over to newfederalistalliance.com. Sign up. There's going to be more info that comes out. Mark can go into much more detail than I can since he is, um, I guess, the president of the whole thing, really. But Yeah, we've got to get back to actual conservatism because, as you know, conservatives have a history of hyping up people who agree with them on one or two issues, and then they infiltrate the party, and then our party just kind of changes. I mean, it's already happening now with Tulsi Gabbard. And don't get me wrong, I like Tulsi a lot, and I like RFK a lot. They were both just sworn in this um, this week, and the circumstances for me is they're in positions where their politics aren't really going to affect legislation being done. Um, there's a lot of things that I disagree with RFK, but when it comes to health, I agree with him on that front. And the fact that he's in a position where he can influence that, I'm fine with that. However, when the future comes and there's already been talks of Tulsi being the 2028 Republican
No.
nominee, it does not need to happen because that's how these things happen. Our values just the goalpost shift. And
It's gonna be DeSantis or Vance or both. It doesn't.
so I think anyone who isn't JD Vance has no shot in 2028.
Well,
Now if it
did you see Trump say that Vance was
y-
not his immediate
s-
successor?
yes, however, if you listen to the whole clip, he said that he's great and it's too early to tell. I think once the time comes, he will endorse JD Vance, but until then, I don't see anyone coming close to JD Vance right now because I don't think JD Vance is going to just step aside and not run.
Yeah, of course he would.
Typically the vice president runs. Um, Obviously you had that situation with Biden, but he was already older. But JD is so young and he's already very articulate. I think he runs in 2028.
Have you seen some of his speeches in Germany?
Yeah, his
He's
speeches in
good.
Germany is really good because
He's good.
it gives off strength, but it doesn't do so to the point of, bow down to the US.
Yeah.
It's more so as we're going to be the leaders and you guys need to fall behind us and help us. Um but yeah, that's kind of I kind of went off on a tangent. I don't really know where I was going with all of that other than if you feel homeless, check out the new Federalist Alliance. Mark's going to have more info for everyone at a later time. We're really trying to get this off the ground, and he's definitely excited about it. And so, yeah,
Stay tuned.
yeah. But we're going to try and record another episode, maybe tomorrow, maybe on Monday. We're not exactly sure yet. Mark, um, he's at the ER with his kids right now. They've got the flu of some sort. So we kind of hope they all feel better.
Big praise for them.
Yeah. Oh, also more news for me. So Monday, my wife got into a fender bender. She was in a turning lane and some woman was not paying attention on her phone and she rear-ended my wife's car. Luckily, my wife, she's safe. My son, they're safe. However, our Toyota Highlander is not. Um, at the accident, however, it looked like this girl that hit my wife. She was very apologetic. She took she basically took fault. She was like, "Hey, sorry, I was not paying attention. I was distracted." Um, and she was very nice. Apparently, she prayed with my wife, and we got the incident report and everything. and we're in a situation now where it looks like that she doesn't have insurance or the insurance lapsed. And so we're really praying that that's not the case and that she may have just given us the wrong insurance information. And that I say that because she was nice and I don't want to have to take out uninsured motorist claim just because, obviously we're still going to have to pay all of our deductibles and everything. Um, but yeah, and I guess again, if they end up not having insurance, that girl's car is totaled. And so they've got a lot of issues going on if that's the case. But yeah, we're kind of hoping that's the case for us. Obviously we're not getting a new car, so but yeah, we just got the quote and it looks like it's like $16,000 in damage. Yeah,
Ooh.
it's crazy. But that's kind of all the news that I have going on. What about you, Frost?
Thankfully, my week has been smooth sailing, pretty smooth sailing. So, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about with is go back to the RFK topic. Is I've done a lot of reading on some of the things that he said about food dyes and certain stuff in our diets, and um, so some of our viewers are like, "Yo, hey Caldwell, you're fat." Well, yeah, I am. So I think we've decided that we're going to start removing dyes. We're going to start with dyes, specifically target dyes, remove dyes. I know. Your wife is really big on the anti-dye stuff, so we're going to start there. My wife has been doing research for the last 6 months on sourdough starter. If any of our viewers are interested in what we're doing, we literally just started our sourdough starter this morning. So hopefully we'll have bread in a week, maybe two, something like that. So anybody that has any questions, or if anybody has any tips for us, since we're just getting started, I would love to hear from you. But as for this week, like I think the worst thing that I've had to do with this week is building this entertainment center behind. You guys can't see it, but behind me, we're still trying to get. We have so much stuff. We're having to slosh it around in the townhouse to get everything to fit just right. So it'll probably take us another month to get everything unpacked and comfortable. But yeah, so this
I
week is pretty easy.
Yeah, I would definitely dyes and seed oils.
Yeah. Oh
Those
yeah,
two.
seed oils are out. They're gone
Yeah,
already.
yeah. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of followers who know quite a bit about the health side.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and on that note, I think we are going to end it today. We will be back next time with Mark, and we've got more topics for him because I definitely want to hear his take on some of these other issues that are going on in the world right now.
Yep. A lot of geopolitical stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely. But until then, uh, let's get out there and revive, retake, and restore. See y'all next time.
Peace.